Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces when we're sort of going live across like multiple platforms.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine they don't always want to cooperate.
Well, yeah, sometimes it's human error, user
Fair,
error.
fair.
All right, cool. Think we are live.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I imagine they don't always want to cooperate.
Yeah. Well, hello, hello.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's human error. Oh, user error. Sorry.
Fair.
All right. Cool.
Replaying us, it sounds like.
Think we are. Oh yeah, I was just testing and it's replaying it in the background. Okay, here we go. Welcome, Alyssa. Okay, we are live. Do, 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 do. Okay, all righty. Let me just sort of wait till it hits 11 a.m. There's a few folks hopping in. All right. Okay, we are live. Woohoo! Well, oh yeah. So Alyssa's here. Gabriella's here. Welcome, Gabriella. Thanks for joining us. And we're live over YouTube. We're live over LinkedIn. We're live on Facebook. And we're going to have a really exciting conversation this morning. All right. So weather is nice today. Uh, Lauren and I are in Houston. So, we're enjoying the sort of fluctuations of it being freezing out. Now it's in the 80s or something again. Maybe it's the 70s, but it's pretty gorgeous out today. So, good day for a live stream. Good day to talk about some legal aspects of AI and what we're doing with it, what the implications are, what we shouldn't do with it. Maybe, possibly, we might hear that from Lauren, her recommendations about what maybe we shouldn't do with it. Seems like, there's a lot of options. Hi, Jag, welcome. Good to have you.
Hello, how are you?
Doing all right on this lovely Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. All right. So, so Lauren, great to have you on. So how did you get into this legal side? So, what interested you to go into this aspect of law?
Yeah. I've been, working in this area for a few years now. I had a background working in immigration, of
Oh,
all things prior. But basically, long story short on that was I realized that I did not have the heart to be able to handle that as my full-time
mm,
gig in the day-to-day. But I was doing a lot of work with computer programmers, software engineers, and I actually liked that aspect of the drafting of kind of finding out the nuances of what they did. And
yeah.
when I got into school, I started studying copyright, trademark, your classic IP stuff, and but I also liked contracts, and that
Mhm.
came together of technology has a lot of need for licensing in general, whether it's software, data, et cetera. And AI is a very prominent part of it. So it just sort of organically came into affecting every aspect of my practice.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I'm so glad that I met you so that I can sort of bring you in to talk to sort of the IT and tech side businesses that I work with. So Lauren and I actually met last week at there's a networking happy hour in Houston called Business and Brews. And so we met there at a networking and started chatting about AI and tech and all this really new technology. And, she was talking about how she deals a lot with it on the legal side. So, so today um, we're going to talk a little bit about sort of the legal ambiguity around AI, the risks when using external AI platforms, just, what kind of things do we need to be aware of that, you know, maybe could cause us some problems down the road, or we want to avoid, or that we want to lean into because maybe Lauren can help us to sort of clarify that gray area surrounding AI, using AI in our business for AI generated content, for AI for, any sort of uses that we might require in our business. So I'll just give a quick background on Lauren, her background and biography. So Lauren is with a law firm called Frost Brown Todd, and she's an attorney, obviously. So she is an associate in the Data, Digital Assets, and Technology Group after joining Frost Brown Todd as part of the Summer Associate Program. She now focuses her practice on technology transactions, particularly as clients' needs relate to software and advertising concerns. She works on contracts at all stages, from initial drafting to advising on a variety of matters, including development and collaboration, licensing, and addressing underlying intellectual property rights in a transaction. Lauren is currently building her secondary practice within the data security and privacy space, further developing her experience in TDPSA, CPRA, and GDPR compliance concerns, including reporting carve-outs for incident response analyses. As part of the development of her technology practice, Lauren seeks out opportunities to learn about innovative entrepreneurial endeavors taking place in Houston. She also dedicates her volunteer efforts to the LGBTQ plus community by helping with name and gender marker changes, as well as participates in local efforts to improve immigrant rights. Wow, that is a very impressive biography. So we're definitely pleased to have you on here, Lauren. And then just to introduce myself, my name's Laura Camrath. I'm founder and CEO of Zebra Marketing, and we specialize in helping IT service providers, MSPs, cybersecurity businesses, and tech companies, in addition to energy businesses, with getting their marketing in place with AI and automation so that they can have predictable sales and be able to grow their business. All right, so let's get started here with some of this meat about this new amazing AI technology. And I'm sure a lot of my clients and members of my audience are already using this technology in various capacities within their business, either to serve their clients or, as I use it to help my clients with their marketing, to help them, be able to reach more people, be able to generate more leads. But it is so very new that, I have clients who have questions about, well, what happens to my content when I put it in an AI tool? Or, what happens with the output? I was actually at the Ion, here in Houston. We have an kind of like a startup warehouse called the Ion, and it's a startup community with a lot of entrepreneurs in the tech space. And they recently had an AI summit, and they had a couple lawyers on, and the one guy said that people will tend to use it for software development, and they use it for coding. And what they don't realize is perhaps the AI goes out and grabs some proprietary code from somewhere that it finds it online, not realizing that it's proprietary, plugs it, and then you use it, plug it into your software. And then down the road, you end up with problems selling your business because when they go through and check for proprietary code, they find it in there, and then you have to go and change a whole bunch of stuff. So talk to us a little about sort of what you see, Lauren, in your everyday dealings with this issue, and what are some of the things that you feel like are really important to think about?
Absolutely. Well, I would say, the biggest thing, really gets into every level of it is just awareness. Because at the end of the day, that's the question. That's, what is the AI doing?
Hmm.
And is it doing what you think it's doing?
Yeah.
Because, that doesn't always completely sync up. So that's really kind of the core of what I try to get at as much as I can when I'm assisting my clients. It's a matter of, regardless of which side of the deal you're on, whether you're the developer or the recipient of some kind of service, uh, what are the intentions for what the AI is supposed to be doing, and what is allowed to go in it, what is allowed to come out of it. It's just every piece of that you want to know what's going on. So like you mentioned with proprietary technologies for coding and everything, that's huge. That's really going back to the common issue of open source software licenses. It is very common in development agreements to say you are not allowed to use open source software because there's so many licensing terms covering those components that the end recipient is then just not aware of. How do you
Mm.
follow those rules and whatever the policies are related to those pieces when you don't know that they're in there?
Yeah.
And the same idea applies with AI. So it is a matter of, you want to make sure whatever you're using, whatever tool you're using, you've got a clean database. So you want to be aware of what kind of materials it's pulling from. When you're using something more general like Chat GPT, Copilot, uh, on and on and on. There's a matter of it could be pulling from anything, and it's really hard to limit that scope. When you're creating something yourself, when you want to make sure that it is your material and you're aware of everything, you really need to be working with a more proprietary database of your own where you've got the inputs or exactly who put in the inputs so that someone is tracking what's in that database. So then
Mhm.
the outputs, are allowed, theoretically, to be made derivatives of those initial inputs. Of course, if you put something in there that you're not allowed to make derivatives of, using AI is not going to suddenly give you the ability to make derivatives of those works.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just really a matter of what's inside there and can you use it. Once you've got that piece of the puzzle like really cleanly laid out, it makes everything else so much easier to work through and figure out, okay, what outputs is it allowed to make then off of those inputs?
Mm.
Because if you're restricting what goes into it to begin with, you can control the outputs better. A classic example really goes into data. And when I say data, I mean pure data, not just licensing of code.
Mhm.
Um, if you're allowing a database to receive really sensitive information like health information or information about sexuality, religion, et cetera, all these things that might not be relevant to what you're trying to do at the end of the day, um, just because you then tell the system you're using, do not use this type of data, you cannot guarantee that it won't still use it because it's in the database.
Yeah.
So maybe you had the rights to put that in there, but do you really want health data outputs, going on, when you're then doing your ongoing license of whatever is created?
Hmm. So how then, because I have customers, one of my customers, his name's Pat Shannon, actually. Shout out to Pat. He has this incredible business where it's called Greatest Training Ever, and he makes these really incredible SNL style funny cybersecurity training videos. And they're awesome and they're hilarious. And there are tools where you could like drop drop in a video and chop it into shorts. One of them's called video.ai, VIDYO. And you can upload a video and it'll chop it into shorts for you. He's afraid that if he puts his proprietary video in there, that he's training a model that could then output that to someone else. So, how do we know or how do we check that to find out like what's happening to our data when we put it somewhere or put it into a model or put it into a tool?
If you're dealing in a smaller model, with someone you've got a direct relationship with, it's going to go back to the contract that you've signed between each other. But more commonly, we're dealing in matters of terms of use, terms and conditions that are going to be on websites, or the app pages for the different tools that you're using. The fun news is that all of the big guys are changing these terms very frequently. There's just so much going on right now that when you get those emails saying, hey, we've changed our terms and conditions, hey, we've changed our privacy policy, hey, we've changed our, it's happening a lot, and it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on there. So really what you need to do is when you are first inputting something, look at those initial terms, or get someone who knows how to read the terms to look over those terms for you, and look and see, does it have a clause saying we own everything you put into our database? That is very common. They say as soon as you give us something, it's ours. And so you are giving away your rights under those terms. Now, how enforceable that may be could get into the nuance of what exactly you put in, but particularly if you're dealing in just doing a few videos versus, a large company that is getting tons of data all the time, they obviously have a legal team that is, unfortunately, right or wrong, probably more likely to win the case, just because of the time that they could put into, fighting it out. So you really want to be protective at that initial stage. Now, just because you have that right at the beginning, though, to maintain ownership, that does not mean that you keep it. That's why I brought up the changing to the terms. You need to look out and see if they change it to say, hey, starting now, we own everything.
Yeah.
Which obviously not an ideal situation. And the best way to avoid it is to have something that's isolated. You're not inputting into whatever the general big bucket is. It's these big buckets that are just so hard to regulate. And even the owners of these AI tools probably can't regulate it because they just have too much in them to begin with.
Wow. Yeah. And so, yeah, that really does seem like uh, a challenge. I'm sure everyone has signed their iPhone terms and conditions or, whatever they get on their uh, Android phone. I don't have an Android, but, like that thing comes up and you just want to get on with your day. So you just press OK
Mm-hmm.
and you just accept it. But does anyone read that? Like, I don't. Maybe I should, you might, but I mean, you're an attorney. But I mean, there's so many of these terms and conditions, and we're trying to function in our day. It's like how do we really go through there and make sure that our use of an AI tool or an AI whatever we're doing is going to be beneficial to us and not harmful to us in some way in the end. For my business, doing marketing outside of the example that I gave with Pat, for the most part, everything that we are putting into uh, an AI program is like a marketing client facing thing. So for the most part, the only things that we put into Chat GPT or any of the AI tools that we use are mostly stuff that's already client facing and so it's already public. Um, so in that instance, I feel like that's not so much of a concern in the marketing sense because that stuff's already out there. It's already public domain. maybe it's on your website, maybe it's a brochure, but it's something that's already designed to be seen by in public view. It's not something that's supposed to be proprietary. On the other hand, when you get an instance like Pat, where he's like, well, I'm afraid that my proprietary video material, if I put it into an AI tool, could become public domain. And, that seems like a valid concern, which is unfortunate because, I think he could really benefit from some of those tools. So, in that instance, then you would say it might be a good idea to like go check their terms and conditions or, check with the company to see if they can direct you to the part of the terms and conditions that explains their policy on that.
The best situation in an ideal world, because obviously you can't always negotiate for this, is to just have your own individual contract, because that can't just be changed unilaterally by the company.
Yeah,
That's the ideal, is that that's how you kind of maintain control, is they can't do a one-sided change without your consent.
yeah,
Obviously, when we're dealing with more individual use case scenarios, uh, that's probably not going to happen. And
yeah.
so that's where you want to, if possible, if the tools offer it, because a lot more are offering this now. You want to get your own sandbox environment, separated out, tool where it's got the ability to adapt based on what you train it on, but
Mhm.
is not pulling from anyone else's materials, because then your materials are not going into that general bucket. It's
Right.
siphoning everything off as much as possible. Uh, if you're not doing any of those things and you are just putting everything in the big bucket, yeah, I mean, the answer is look at the terms, but odds are those terms are saying that they have ownership, or if they don't have ownership, they have a very broad license that lets them act like they own it, because they can't, they quite frankly can't control what is done with it by the AI and the outputs afterwards. So they can't really do a lesser license than that, um, to give you the protections, because you're already putting it in such an unrestricted, unprotected environment.
Right. So as far as I've heard, and I'm not a lawyer, so that's why I've invited you. Um, that like when using ChatGPT free version, it uses everything that you input. It could use it to train the model. Whereas what I've heard is that the paid version keeps your information proprietary and does not use it to train the model if you're paying for subscription. Have you heard anything about that, or do you know anything about that?
Yes, a lot of the bigger tools offer that kind of service. So free version is generally going to be the most dangerous, because at the end of the day, if you're not paying, they want to make their money somehow, and so they're probably
Yeah.
making it off of you. So
Yeah.
that's why you really are not getting any protections on the free version of just about any tool these
Hmm.
days. But yes, most paid versions have some kind of offer to protect a little bit better. You still want to look, particularly with something like ChatGPT, which has so many different versions at this point. I cannot confidently say that every single paid version is going to protect your information and keep it separate. You're going to have to look at which version specifically you have. But anything that has a higher degree of privacy and security is generally going to be more protective and have that isolated environment. Like my firm, we use a couple of different tools, because we have to have complete security on what we use as a law firm, because we cannot at all risk anything that we do getting out into anything more public. So Copilot through Microsoft has ways to connect with your enterprise Microsoft accounts, to have secure work profiles. CoCounsel is a legal AI tool that it also exists on its own server, to the individual user. So I can't even access anything that any other attorney has done, and it's just completely separated. So those types of environments absolutely exist. It's just a matter of paying for that more expensive tool.
Yeah. Hmm. So what would you say is the biggest thing that IT service providers or tech businesses should look out for or should be cautious of or aware of uh, in this regard, in regards to AI, using AI in their business? Or what do you think that you'd maybe like to see people do more of or not be so worried about? What would you comment on in that regard?
I like that. Like going to the first part of the question, I would say, when you're looking at terms or a contract that you have with a provider, look for something talking about a right for them to train. If they are training off of your information, that's where the danger kind of gets triggered. So look out for a right to train. You'll usually see something about a right to train in the aggregate. That is, depending on what you're doing, potentially less dangerous because a lot of times that's dealing more in pure data information rather than content.
Hmm.
And so that's talking about anonymized information that it's all mixed together. It's stats at this point that a lot of providers say we want these general stats,
Yeah.
but we won't identify Joe Schmo at 123 Treehouse Lane. That's the kind of thing that they might promise. If you want to still, push on just no, you can't train off of my stuff at all. I'm completely separated. You can obviously still push on that, but that's kind of the middle ground on if you see a training right. If it's talking about aggregated, anonymized, they're probably not doing your individual stuff, but you still want to keep an eye on that. So training is that
Yeah.
keyword to look for in any terms or agreement. Um, you also need to be aware of the fact that if you're not allowed to do something, you're also not allowed to use AI to do it. you
Mm,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
that's a fun thing that I see come up all the time where someone says, okay, I know that I can't copy this person's artwork, but if I put it in AI and I ask the AI to do it, that's fine, right? No, no, it's not. You cannot tell the AI to do something just because you can't. And same thing with, data consents and everything. You're like, oh, well, I know that I can't collect this person's health information, but if the AI collects it and then just gives it to me, that's okay.
Oh,
No, it's not okay.
yeah.
These are, there's a very common misconception, unfortunately, with people thinking that just because you're using AI, it's creating some kind of separation from the law. And
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of the big thing that comes up fairly frequently.
I,
um,
I guess that's another question though. We've got chat AI and voice AI and even just regular text AI where we're using it to produce some email or content or something. What happens like if I produce an email and I use it and I didn't read it completely and something is in there that shouldn't have been in there? Is this exposing people to, are you seeing people become exposed in that way? I know, I I don't know, maybe it was last year I saw an article about an attorney actually who used AI for some research and found it told him there was some case that was applicable to whatever case he was working on,
mhm.
and it ended up that that was completely made up and he didn't fact check it. So, do you see any issues in that regard that with people kind of getting outputs and not fact checking it or not double checking that everything is true or exposing themselves to risk? What's your opinion on that, or do you have any comments on that?
Yes, this is also kind of going into my initial point about awareness. Be aware of everything you're using AI to do. So you should have a human, checking over what these outputs are, because there's nothing wrong with having emails go out from AI, but that AI is acting as an agent of your company. So the fun case that I like to point out is that Air Canada got in some trouble last summer because they had a chat bot that was completely run by AI, and it was talking with a user about their refund policy related to bereavement. And the AI just made up a new policy. It had been
Oh,
trained on Air Canada's policies, but it just, based on the conversation and what it saw as logical, it came up with a new policy.
uh-huh.
And it was enforced by the courts that you have to follow this new policy because this was an agent acting on your behalf.
Well,
The recipient had no reason to believe you hadn't authorized this.
mm,
So, yes, you definitely want to keep an eye out. Chatbots, I'd say, are the really dangerous ones if you give it, the ability to talk a bit too freely. But of course, if you've got a chat bot that it's just, citing back to, oh, look at, section 3 of our policy, or, that kind of thing where it's going to your direct language that you've already reviewed and approved and have it trained to go in that way, you're really not exposing yourself to risk. It's just sort of when you give it too much freedom,
yeah,
there's definitely some potential there. And yes, that extends to emails, text messages, all of that, which also your emails still need to have that unsubscribe button available. Your text messages still need to have, people opt in to receive them.
yeah,
Your standard things that, again, the rules that apply to you apply to the AI. And you can't, when the fines come to you saying, hey, your AI sent 100 messages to someone in 5 minutes and they
yeah,
freaked out over it, you're getting fined. You go, oh, no, no, the AI did that. Sure, but you're getting fined.
yeah, yeah. So, perhaps like setting limits on it and things like that. So
Absolutely.
where this is going to be a crazy question, but and we can all speculate on this, but where in your opinion do you see all of this going? I've had people say, I actually attorneys, I hear like fear coming out of attorneys that they're like, oh my God, our jobs are going to be replaced. Perhaps even coders, people who do coding and build software, worrying that their jobs are going to be replaced. And we can all speculate about where this is going. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a conversation I've had with a lot of people. I'm not as worried as most people are about the total replacement situation. Granted, there are obviously jobs that are very easy to replace even now. I mean, I actually, when I was in college, I worked part-time doing transcription work, which, you know, talk to text is so
Yeah,
advanced at this point, but there are still human transcriptionists. And that's just because of the cost involved to actually get it to that, basically perfect level.
yeah,
So while it can still affect people, it's not going to completely rule things out for the most part. Again,
yeah,
there are obviously some jobs that will be, but within law or coding and things like that, I just see it as another tool. So I
yeah,
think the attorneys who are not using AI in some capacity over the next few years are going to get left behind,
yeah,
because this is definitely an oversimplification, but I say, like, you would not trust an attorney who doesn't use spell check on
yeah,
anything that they file with the courts or any contracts that they draft for you. They go, no, 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 I just, look it over, give it a once over, and like it's good.
yeah.
Yes, we're paid for attention to detail, but we're still not perfect, and spell check
Mhm.
makes a huge difference. I
Yeah,
see the same thing with AI. It's a tool. It's great for creating templates, creating baselines, but you still need that human expertise to take it over the line.
yeah, yeah. I would absolutely tend to agree with you, and that's what I've told people before that have asked me that question. That yeah, it's a tool, and you can't eliminate the human component. And I like to compare it to a dishwasher. When we got the dishwasher, we no longer had to stand in the kitchen for hours scrubbing dishes, but the dishes don't hop out of the sink and hop into the dishwasher, turn the machine on and then hop back into the kitchen cabinet when they're done. There still has to be a human component. Somebody
Mhm.
still has to be using it, somebody has to prompt it, somebody has to QC the results. And I've used AI a lot for marketing purposes, and it doesn't always give the best response, but you can get some incredible results out of it if you know what you're doing. I couldn't go in there and say, hey, I want to write a contract and then know if that contract is any good because I'm not an attorney. I'm sure I can have it give me something, it would output something, but it could be complete, you know, crap if I don't know what I'm reading. So I would still have to go hire you to go look at it and tell me if it was any good or not, when you would probably tell me, no, this is this is no good. Um, but and the same goes for marketing. I can get some really incredible results and I can help my customers get some really incredible results using it for marketing because I know how to train it and I know how to input it so that it'll give me those results. And then I know whether those results are good or not, or whether it's meeting, the purposes that I want it to meet. Um,
So I will say, I think one of my favorite uses I've seen of AI is actually where people use AI to train other people. So,
mhm,
you create a tool that it's not just trying to give answers and, in these absolutes that we keep finding all these issues with, but using it in some kind of prompting sense where it prompts the humans. So what
mhm,
we're seeing this a lot with, there are a lot of interview training AI tools now that can just have you answer a question and then it says, why don't you get a little more specific? Why
yeah,
don't you, expand on such and such part of what you said? It's not telling you, say this, like you might get out of Chat GPT if you just type in the interview question, but
yeah.
it's kind of prompting you to think more and get more advanced. I've also spoken with someone who's in education who said that they have teachers using it to help students review a lesson. And it does not give them the answers because it could potentially, give incorrect answers, and we don't want to see that. But it takes in the questions, tells them where they should be looking in the materials for the questions that they're having, so that they, dig in a little deeper. But then also the teachers receive those questions, so they
Mhm,
know, oh, a larger proportion of my students really seemed confused about this part of the lesson. I
hmm,
should revisit that. It's
hmm.
that kind of thing where it's both prompting the students and the teachers to, further develop. So
Yeah.
that's an exciting thing that I think if you can find ways to, use AI to train your people,
Yeah,
you
that's really
really get the
cool.
benefit.
Yeah, and expanding on that, there's a couple AI video tools. One of them's called Synthesia, that you can actually use AI to say, I don't know, say you had a software and you were trying to demo it. You can create an human AI avatar and feed it text. You can do screen sharing. You can use AI voice, and basically you can create a training presentation or, how-to video or something like that without having to appear on camera or hire an actor or hire a voice voiceover artist or anything like that. And then there's another software called HeyGen where you can actually literally upload your own likeness and then train it with your voice, and it will produce videos that look like you are talking. And I've made myself a HeyGen avatar and it looks just like this. Like when I play it for people, they're just shocked. They're like, "Oh my God." But, I can use that. Say, I don't know, say I was onboarding customers and I just wanted to send a, maybe it's a cookie cutter onboarding video every time they get onboarded, every time they buy something. I want to send a video that says the same thing, but I want to use their own personal name to personalize it. I could hire a virtual assistant in the Philippines or something and just say, make a video with this person's name, John or Jill or Anna, whatever, and
Mhm.
just plug in the names and just, hi, welcome to our program. So glad that you've stopped by. And it gives a really cool personalized effect, even though it's an AI. uh, it feels like a real person, and it looks like the business owner. So I don't know. That's kind of a creative usage idea for it, but you could also make little, I don't know, say like one of my other clients, I have a client who's a leadership training coach. And he could make little one-line tips, like leadership tip of the day, and just feed it into HeyGen and make a little video and put it on social media. Um, but
Yeah,
then you start wondering, like, I mean, you can kind of tell that I don't know, maybe you can't tell that it's not real.
I've seen some Heian avatars, and yeah, I'm a little afraid to have one created of me, because they are very convincing.
Yeah,
But I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that would be a great way to use it, of just, yeah. I mean, the daily videos, things like that. That's, you've got your control on the environment. You know what it's allowed to do, and it's not gonna deviate from that. But
yeah,
you're using it in a creative way. It's not just, you're doing all the work. You're just doing a little bit to get the end result that you want.
yeah. And I think the cool thing about using AI for marketing in this way is the ability to repurpose content. So, you could take a video, like I can take this video that we're recording now. I mean, it's already in the public domain. Like it's on YouTube, it's on LinkedIn, it's on Facebook. Like anybody who wants to can go see it. I can take it, grab the video transcript, the text, drop it into ChatGPT and ask it to write me a blog post or an email newsletter. And then I can put that up on social media as a piece of text. And, some people are readers and, I'm a reader. I know some people hate reading. They just want to see video. But, when you can sort of do both, then you hit both types of people who like video and people who like text. I can ask it to write me a couple of LinkedIn posts talking about this topic. Um, and before you know it, I've got content everywhere. I could take the video and drop it into video.ai and create little shorts for social media where um, we sort of get the highlights without people having to watch the whole video, which just, before you know it, using AI, you can kind of just make yourself be everywhere. And, it used to be extremely expensive to do that. I remember back in the day before AI, there was a company that was doing video, and the lady made, she basically had a team in the Philippines that would do this stuff, and it still it still cost like $10,000 a month to get video made and text social media posts and video social media posts and all of this stuff. It was like to do the stuff, like to do that stuff back in the pre-AI days was like extremely expensive. Now you can do it yourself for, the low price of a couple $20 a month AI programs, which is kind of nuts. And of course,
Absolutely.
like you were saying, maybe not a good idea to put proprietary stuff in there, but if your purpose is to use it for marketing, then the stuff you want to be putting in there is really client facing public domain stuff anyway.
But also,
Uh,
if you've got that, siphoned off tool where it's all your content that it's trained on, that's
yeah,
all going to be yours anyway. So I mean, that's kind of the perfect thing of, it's got your voice. Then it knows, what you want to say, because it's only knows what you say. And
yeah,
so, that's something to work off of. And you then have your own content, that it's not just anyone creating that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, definitely it's interesting times. I think people are still grappling with how best to use this in their businesses, how to use it productively and usefully while also maintaining their, you know, security and safety and avoiding any legal issues they could face down the road. Um, and definitely, I recommend anyone who's watching here give Lauren a call if you need help with this issue. Frost Brown Todd. What's your website? How do people get in touch with you, Lauren?
So our website's frostbrowntodd.com, but you can
Mhm.
also reach me directly at lcole@fbtlaw.com.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so definitely if you need somebody to help you go over this or you have legal questions about how you're using AI in your business or how to keep your data or your stuff secure, definitely reach out to Lauren. Um, and so we're just here today talking about the legal implications of AI. How do we keep ourselves safe and secure while also being able to take advantage of this incredible new technology that's really changing the game in all kinds of ways? And how do we get past that legal ambiguity so that instead of saying, well, I'm not sure if I'm exposing my business or if something could go wrong, so I'm not going to use it, but being able to sort of take power to look at keeping yourself safe, also being able to use it. What are the best use cases? And just I think that it's an incredible technology. It's incredibly useful. Uh, it's also extremely new. And so we want to make sure that, if we're using it for marketing, that the stuff we're training it with is in the public domain or stuff that we're okay with potentially could become compromised or could become part of the training model. Um, and then possibly just checking those uh, legal statements, the terms and conditions when we sign up to use an AI tool. What do we agree to? What do we agree to? Is it training the model? Is it not training the model? And are we okay with the way that it's being used according to the terms and conditions? Lauren mentioned that the terms and conditions do tend to change quite frequently. So she also then recommended, keeping your use to a sandbox type environment where it's closed off to outside influence and being able to train models outside of your particular use. So I think those are really, really good insights. If you guys who are here on the call with me would like to get in touch with us, you can go to zebra.ai/book a call, and zebra is spelled with no E, it's ZBRA it's zebra.live, zbra.live/book a call if you'd like to hop into a call with me. Um, if you'd like to have a look at our leads tool, I'll drop that in the chat. That is zbra.live/leads. And that's a tool to be able to help you find your ideal customer and be able to create a list, enrich the data with AI so that you know a little bit more about that prospect before you reach out. And then we also have um, if you would like to have a chat with our voice AI, I'll drop that link in the chat as well. So a couple different ways you can get in touch. Oh yeah, so the page to have a chat with our voice AI is zebra.live/4bot, zbra.live/4bot. So I'll drop those links in the chat for you here real fast. Oop. Do-do-do-do-do. Do. And then, so does anyone have questions for Lauren? If you'd like to raise your hand, um, if you have questions, or just take yourself off mute and feel free to hop in and ask your question. Do, 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 do. Anyone? Anyone? uh, Jag, do you have any questions? Saw you just hop back in.
I do
Anyone?
not.
No questions.
Well, I will
Well,
say,
Lauren.
just after all my, I feel like people can get scared when the lawyer comes in and sounds like everything's doom and gloom. That's not the point of what I said. And I do encourage people to, play around with the different tools, get comfortable with them. Just, when you're doing you're playing around and you don't know what you're doing, make sure you don't use something that you really care deeply about. So, put in generic prompts and things like that, just to kind of find out what kind of responses you can get from things and see where it goes from there. And as you build that comfort, figure out what tools you like, then you can kind of dive deeper into what's going to fit best for you and the proper protections for your content.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, I think not using this technology is really not an option at this point. It's here, it's not going anywhere, and the people who do use it and make use of it are going to outcompete other people, or other companies. I think that making the choice to use it and then figuring out how to do so in a way that works best for you and that keeps your data secure and safe, is going to be the way to go. And so definitely I encourage you all to play around with it, see what you can do with it. I'm sure some of you may be already using it in your business. um we help people make use of this technology. If you would like to talk about how we could help you implement this to help you move faster, help you implement predictable sales so that you can experience hockey stick growth in your business, we would love to have a chat. Um, we have everything from AI sales systems where you can really set up an automated system that qualifies leads and books them into your calendar. And all the way from that sort of fully automated system to we also have a mastermind called Jumpstart Your Marketing, where we can actually coach you to help you learn how to use these tools and how to move forward in your business powerfully in this new age of AI and automation. So with that said, would love to talk with any of you who are here on the call, or if any of you are watching on the live stream, drop a comment, share with your friends. I hope that you've enjoyed this experience. If you have any questions and you're watching live, feel free to drop a comment and a question. I'll be back to check on those and answer anybody's questions. And it also helps us be more powerful as a community when we help each other in that way. So definitely, uh, you know, keep engaging. We'll be back next week. Lauren won't be back, unfortunately, next week, but maybe in the future. But we will be back next week talking about AI for marketing and automation. And we'll be here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Time, and would love to have you join, would love to have you follow. Check out any of the resources I dropped in the chat or that I mentioned here, or drop a note asking if you'd like to book a call or take a look at any of our AI tools, and I'll make sure that you get that. All right. Well, thank you very much, Lauren. Do you have any last thoughts or comments?
Oh, yeah, thank you so much, Laura, for having me. This was a lot of fun. And I always love just hearing the different questions and scenarios that people are facing, because this is, an exciting area to be in. I mean, people are coming up with new innovations all the time. That does kind of make it the Wild West for law right now, but I enjoy it. And I hope that, you know, whatever great innovations everyone else is coming up with out there, I look forward to seeing what you create. And, if I can help along the way, I'm happy to do it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lauren. It's been a real pleasure having you on and learning about all the legal implications of AI. And I look forward to staying in touch with you. And I hope some folks reach out to Lauren if they've got any questions about using AI safely or securely in their business. And Lauren, I look forward to talking with you soon. And thank you all who are on the call here with me. Thank you for joining. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks.